A lot of my friends and family members have been forced to move outside the city.
And one word, gentrification. Because boy, is it different.
I was looking for a little bit more melanin, but that quickly changed once I got here.
You cannot have something with only poor and rich. That's a disaster for any society.
Let's be real. These new apartments and condos that's coming up downtown, they are not for blue-collar, grassroots workers, teachers.
We're making more like market rate housing, but not enough low income.
There are people who, I know who are literally living on the streets and looking at their ancestral homes that they grew up in.
It's gotten a lot worse. More tense and more visibly unhoused people.
There just needs to be a larger systemic overhaul because this is not feasible.
The homeless moms who took over an empty house in Oakland have less than 2 weeks to leave. That's according to an eviction notice posted on the door of the abandoned home that they took over. NBC Bay Area's Melissa Colorado joins us from Oakland, where the battle lines are being drawn.
That's right, Raj. And the mothers and their children, they have until December 17th to leave the house. The mothers say that is not going to happen. They are staying put. They want to celebrate the holidays with their children inside.
We did everything that we could to make it feel comfortable for the kids and to be that symbol of resistance in the neighborhood. The camaraderie that was developed, the children, the bonds that were created, Amir taking his first steps, saying thank you, some of his first clear words, the dinners, the meetings. It was a lot of fun. Bonds were developed. And the girls, especially once I finished their room, it was gorgeous. They loved spending time there.
A few days ago, we received an eviction notice. It was taped on our door.
Hired public relations consultant Sam Singer says the matter is now in the hands of the Alameda County Sheriff's Office, who is in charge of enforcing the eviction notice.
We don't know when they're going to come, but we're going to be here, and we're not leaving without a fight. This is our home. This is Mom's house.
Power to the moms. Power to the moms. Power to the moms. Power to the moms.
These mothers who did, as far as I'm concerned, what any mother would do. Because I guarantee you that as a mother of my daughter, I would do anything to make sure that she had a roof over her head.
Wedgwood and everybody else really feels for these moms, for people who are homeless, but that doesn't give anybody the right to take someone else's property. It's very important when somebody steals something from you that you don't give in essentially to extortion.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mom's house. It's Christmas Eve.
So we would just want to say to Wedgwood to sell us this home now. Thank you.
I heard that Moms for Housing had taken the home on Magnolia Street in West Oakland in November.
Hello, my name is Nikki Fortunato Bass.
And, was supportive because I understood, these were moms who were coming to city council meetings saying we're homeless or housing insecure, we're working through the system, but it's not working.
We need companies like Wedgwood to step up.
By supporting, as Councilman Bass and Kaplan did, the seizure of a house and its occupation, it sends a really bad message to potential residents of Oakland, to investors in Oakland, and to the general population about how safe are you in your own home, and is that what the city council is going to support, is theft.
Hi, come on in. Just gives me a warm fuzzy.
I love this photo. So this is our map room, which is a really cool place. Okay, strappy young fella, somebody help me with this book.
Which one? This big one right here.
Who said librarianship wasn't physical? We're taking it to the table. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so Magnolia, map 27. Okay, yes. So sometime between 25 and 1935, 2928 was built. You're looking at 2928 Magnolia Street, wood frame buildings, big empty lots, and at the end of the street on 28th and Magnolia, we have a cheese factory. And they were also around the corner from a gum company. Gum, not gun. Oakland was growing then. The port had just come in, so there was a lot of shipping business. Certainly the railroads were still very active. Unlike more modern times, West Oakland being our first community, our first neighborhood, everybody was living there. It was a very mixed neighborhood racially. The trains brought people to Oakland. The creation of the Transcontinental Railroad certainly fueled the population growth. When George Pullman, who was a Chicago industrialist, outfitted rail cars to be these luxury cars where people could go across the continental U.S. George Pullman also mandated that all of his porters and maids and cooks be African American. And so that created a very early and very pronounced African American presence in Oakland.
Well, we have a national myth. We say that the reason we have segregation in every metropolitan area of this country is something we call de facto. It just sort of happened naturally. It happened by accident. Well, this de facto notion is utter nonsense.
The United States is the most prosperous nation of modern times. It promises to every citizen equal rights to enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
We have segregation in every metropolitan area as a result of very explicit, racially explicit government policy at the federal, state, and local levels in the 20th century.
And yet, 10 million American families are today living in slums.
The most important policy that the federal government followed to ensure that we were segregated moved entire white working class and middle class populations out of urban areas into all white suburbs of single family homes.
The vast sea of houses created by this explosion of the urban population flows outward in endless waves.
The blue and green areas were considered livable areas with high marketability. In the rating system, West Oakland was from the beginning and has subsequently been deemed a D in the red area.
The rush to the suburbs leaves behind abandoned buildings, neglected property, deteriorating business districts.
We find that cities that had these redlining maps in place are still more segregated than cities that didn't. We find that neighborhoods that were redlined or that were denied access to credit have all sorts of lower outcomes.
The segregation that we created in the mid-20th century resulted in an enormous wealth gap between African Americans and whites, because most white families gained their wealth from the appreciation and the value of their homes.
Today, the court order, those moms must leave. No more squatting inside that vacant home, but the moms say they're not going anywhere.
A spokesperson for the Alameda County Sheriff's Office says the last thing they want to deal with is a confrontation, especially when there are children.
Mom's house! Whose house? Mom's house! Evict the speculators! Evict the speculators! Evict the speculators! Evict the speculators!
This could be anyone. This could be you. This could be your loved one that needs housing.
We are here and we're not leaving. We've been here since November 18. That is a win for us.
When I saw elected officials, including our mayor, jump on at the very, very end and have shown no support for the moms as the process was playing out. If you're committed to what's right and what's righteous and what's good, then you're committed to that. Consequences be damned.
I, like everyone else, learned of the plight of these mothers, felt tremendous empathy for what they were going through, and certainly empathy for this act that they had taken. One of the hardest parts of being the mayor is it is your job to hold the community's trauma.
But you can't fix this. This is a family crisis. You can be the first one. It's you, Libby Schaaf, can be the first one in the United States to attack this with dignity and respect for these people. You can do it.
I won't lie to you, it was very difficult to be the recipient of that much rage, that much anger, that much trauma, but it was authentic. It was real.
Having our life story is becoming a joke for us. But you use every last thing we've done.
And it's my job as the mayor to hear that, to even feel it. It is extremely uncomfortable, but that is what our job is as public officials, to do everything we can, that no one ever gets to that place of suffering that those moms had gone through.
I grew from a family home, from a large family home to a child development center. I had a school, I was educating people. I felt so good because I was teaching knowledge to my people. And you can never take knowledge away. And then, unfortunately, Denise, Talani's mom, came into some health issues. And she needed me to take kids. When she said it, I'm in my 20s, like 23, 24. I was not that old. So I was like, what? Like, for real? Like, take some kids? Boss and Talani was like, they're my brother's kids, and I am my brother's keeper. So it was like, no question.
I think she did a great job at raising me. Like, she had me on track all the time, on point. She helped me when I needed it, made sure I had what I wanted and needed all the time.
Like when I first moved with her, she made sure like I had my own room, I had my own bathroom. Like I just felt like
she was a spoiled one. She had the master bathroom.
She convinced me that I'm smart, that I just need to work harder, and I started to really believe in that. And after time growing up, I started to get more like her, people say. People say I act just like her or stuff. I don't really see that. I just feel like I should just listen to her because I don't want to get in trouble. By the time I got into high school, I was on top of my class. I graduated as a salutatorian from my high school. I'm at Climax High School.
So I had to close the center. And it felt like a piece of me died. And that took the course of my road to homelessness.
At the time, I was getting older, so I realized this is how life is. We're not the only person that's homeless. So I try to make it as positive as possible and just move on with the day. And soon eventually we'll find a house to live in.
We came to help with the moms that are getting kicked out of their home.
So we're not looking for confrontation. We're not looking for hostility. We're not looking for a show of force. The judge has ruled. The judge was legally obligated to rule in the way that they did. This has brought a tremendous amount of attention to the housing crisis in the Bay Area. We understand that. We're sympathetic to that. But at the end of the day, I think people who are out there working and trying to pay their rent say, hey, I have to pay my rent every day. I am struggling as well. What gives you the right to get a free house? I want a free house also. This case is unique in that it's received so much attention. But that being said, we're going to enforce this eviction.
The exposure of the eviction is what turned everything up.
I knew it would be big. I thought it would be statewide. I had no idea it would be national or international. I had no idea that I would get calls from the Philippines and, Ireland and England and France.
It takes a tremendous amount of courage to do what they've done. They deserve an enormous amount of credit.
Just this morning, some housing insecure mothers out in Oakland were able to actually secure a home.
This is a pretty sizable protest, a lot of folks coming out to show their support, but I want you to listen and see how quiet it is. And that is by design. All of these folks say that they want to show their support to these mothers, but they also want to respect the neighbors who live nearby as well. The moms who are here in this house could be evicted at any time now.
I'm very proud of what the moms have accomplished at this point. I'm ecstatic. Like, I can't show it, but I'm so proud to be a part of something that is this powerful. It has always been in all of us, because as we learn to be more about each other, we see that. And we see the strengths that we all add into this movement.
That's what alarmed us to get the kids out the house, because they was like, oh, they got a locksmith on the corner and they about to come in. So they was like, oh, okay, so let's get them out.
Wait, is it a weekend? No. Hear me? Everybody. Hell no! We won't go! Hell no! We won't go! Hell no! With my people. I want victory with my people. Yeah, with my people. They gon' love and protect me.
And if you look at how it all transpired, it all goes together. The mother's first. The pains kick in. The baby is born. And the life begins. So it's time to start now. It's time to feed that baby. It's time to nurture that child. The movement. It's time.
Whose house? Mom's house! Whose house?
Dozens of people rallying in front of this house on Magnolia and spilling into the streets.
Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight.
A show of support for those homeless moms in Oakland.
Whose house? Mom's house! 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 Whose house? Mom's house!
Look at the love. I hope y'all take all that in. Wow. Take all that love.
Yes. If I ever felt this crazy love, man. That is a thing, man.
You all, this evening, have all my sisters up here in tears. You are family. And I want to share with you today that no matter what happens, this that's being built right now, this is the house that the moms built. This is historic, and this is the beginning of a movement. That you all came out and showed up on a moment's notice. I don't know if the sheriff even wants to come tonight. No, he don't. I think he's scared of y'all. Yeah, he is. Because this is a town and this is how we show up for each other.
The sheriff is knocking on the door.
A tank!
We were looking at Amy on Democracy Now!
With AR-15 magazine.
My husband said, oh,
loaded.
Gotta go over there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we gotta go. We gotta go.